We talk often on this channel about those top tier journalists. When they talk, you listen. When they speak, you take it in, because they're the ones where they actually have sources. They're the ones that actually seem to nail things consistently. Not once you get it right every so often, no, consistently. And today the stars have all aligned. I brought you the news that Mohammed Kudos looked like it was about to happen a couple of days ago. And now we are here, ladies and gentlemen. X, Darmesh and Romano, three of the top four in my mind, have all come together to say it's happening. Ex-West Ham employee. All has been agreed between the clubs for Mohammed Kudos. Medical scheduled for tomorrow and the finer details to be signed. Darmesh. West Ham have agreed a deal with Ajax for Mohammed Kudos. Deal worth 44.5 million euros, including add-ons. Technical director Tim Steidten is in Bulgaria with the 23-year-old. Both will now fly back to London so Kudos can start his medical tomorrow. Romano. Breaking. Mohammed Kudos to West Ham. Here we go. Not here we go imminent. Not here we go coming. Here we go. Verbal agreement sealed with Ajax on 45 million euro total package and sell-on clause. Players 5-year deal also agreed and medical booked on Saturday. It's all happening, ladies and gentlemen. The stars have aligned. They have come together. They have delivered us the news. Mohammed Kudos will be a West Ham United player, I guess, barring some sort of hiccup with the medical stuff. And maybe you're one of these people who says, not until they hold the shirt. That's totally understandable. And obviously with a medical to go, maybe he fails it or something. I doubt it, because he literally played last night. And that's where I want to talk to you. Because last night he played for Ajax, scored a hat-trick in their in their preliminary round for European competitions. I think it was against Ludogorets in Bulgaria. He scored a hat-trick, good performance. He spoke to the media. He spoke to the Dutch media. He was asked whether or not he thought this was going to be his last game for Ajax. He said, quote, and this is coming from him directly, "Yes, I think so, but let's see what happens in the next days. The talks are going on. We have to see if an agreement can be reached in the next days." He was then asked specifically, what can you tell us about West Ham United? He said, "West Ham, good club, yes," and then smiled wryly. And then this morning, I woke up to yet more quotes from him. Quote, and this is again all Dutch media stuff, obviously he plays for Ajax. Quote, "I spoke with West Ham United. I am waiting for an agreement between the clubs. I think every player dreams of playing in the Premier League. So when the opportunity comes, why not? I feel ready for the next challenge." So just in case you're one of those people who, again, doesn't trust it until they're holding the shirt, all that stuff, totally understandable. He's talking about coming to West Ham at this point. It's happening at this stage. Now, of course, we haven't got the signed shirt. We haven't got that. We haven't got the what do you call it? The little document contract. We haven't got the contract signing pictures. We haven't got the ones where they've got all those things stuck to them in the hospital and they're doing this. We haven't, importantly for me, at least got the Steidten jet pick. When we get the Steidten jet pick, we know it's going to be a big moment in life. I'm big into these Steidten jet picks, by the way. I was speaking to someone about this last night. Very exciting. Very exciting. It's a nice little added bonus for our transfer dealings, because again, I'm always an exciting picture, always an exciting picture. But when you get the player in the jet, their agent probably next to them, and then Tim Steidten in the back, just like, "Hey lads," it's awesome. One of the best things we've done this summer, getting Tim Steidten in, but also importantly, giving him a jet and a camera is very good for me. It's very good for me. So of course, all these numbers are in euros. So let's talk about the conversion rate. What does that mean in pounds? Just so we understand it a little bit better. From what we understand, over the last couple of days of reporting on what the deal was looking like and how it was structured, we're talking 41.5 million euros with 3 million of euros on add-ons, plus a 10% sell-on clause. We don't know whether that's on profit or whether that's just a sell-on clause in general. Either way, I'm fine with that. What that means in pounds, I've gone and done the transfer, the conversions today for once. 35.6 million pounds is the fee, with 2.5 millions of add-ons plus the 10% sell-on clause, right? So you're talking roughly 38 million, 38.1 million, 38.1 something million. Roughly 38 million. That's what we're talking about here. So I think a really, really good deal. I was thinking about this last night with the way transfers have gone and how much money players cost now, and how much, a player who cost only a small amount a couple of seasons ago is now going for insane amounts of money. How much does this equate to in in pre-now money. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, is this about the same amount as, say, Bowen? We signed Bowen for what, 20, 25 million? It was somewhere in that figure. Is this about that? Ben Rama, I think, was 25. Bowen was maybe 20. Is this sort of what this is in today's money? I don't know. It's maybe a little bit more. And it will interest me how exactly he's going to be used, because I don't see necessarily where he fits instantaneously. He feels like, and for West Ham, definitely does command a fee which expects him to be going straight into the team. We don't know his wages yet, but you'd be safe assuming that he's going to be one of the highest paid players at the club, right? When Paquetá was leaving, that made sense. He would come in instantly as the 10 for me. He'd come in instantly as the guy who would play in Paquetá's role, instead of playing it like Paquetá does, playing it a bit more like Jesse Lingard does. And that was perfect in my mind. If anything, I felt like that suited us more than Paquetá did under David Moyes. And I was really excited about that prospect. Now he's staying. It's one of those things where you'd class it as a good problem to have. You have too many good players in one position. Oh no, what are we going to do? We've just got so many great players in specific positions. But it does mean that someone's going to miss out. And his strengths are, at least from the matches I've seen, playing as a 10 and playing on the right. He has also played up front for Ajax, although, for example, when I spoke to Jack Elderton about this, or speaking to him about it the other day when we recorded the Hamalytics podcast for the Hamstrap patron, we both spoke about the idea of him playing up front. And Jack was like, he's just not a big guy. And I was like, yeah, he's not Antonio big. He might be able to do the running portion of it and the dribbling portion of it and all of that stuff that David Moyes would like a striker to be able to do, but he doesn't have that physicality. He doesn't have that size, right? So when you see the ball get played into Antonio's feet and he can hold off a defender all the time, he's holding him back, turns, spins, runs. He can do the turn, spin, run bit, but he's not going to be able to hold him back. So we're probably going to be aiming balls over the top and him to run onto, which he could do. But again, it's sort of changing stuff. It's not the perfect mould for that. So is he going to play on the right and then Bowen plays up front? Well, potentially, but I don't think any of us have ever really liked Bowen playing up front too much. When we're playing a 2 up front system, when we played in pre-season with 3 at the back, when we played previously with 3 at the back, I don't mind Bowen being one of those 2. You have Bowen and someone else alongside him. Actually, I'm okay with that. But when it's in the specific 4-2-3-1, where we're playing with one guy up front who often gets a bit isolated or whatever, Jarrod Bowen playing that role, I don't know. It's just never clicked. It's never snapped for me. So I almost don't want to see him play on the right and then Bowen get moved up front, although that is potentially an option. And then you say, well, maybe Neddy's going to play in the 10. Again, what does that mean for Paquetá? Like, maybe he becomes a left winger. We've spoken about potentially needing a left winger this summer. I think we do, at least. I think a lot of people I've spoken to think we probably do. Maybe then Paquetá moves out onto the left. We did see him play on the left for a brief period of time against Chelsea. There were some upsides to that. There's obviously some downsides to it as well. And previously, when I've seen him play on the left, he's not been unreal at it. I think it's fair to say, certainly if you speak to previous clubs that Paquetá was at, they spoke about whenever he was out on the left, it was a much lesser experience than when he was in the centre. So it raises an interesting point. But all of a sudden, I think we've strengthened so much in the sort of midfield entirety, and he's more of an attacking player than a midfielder. But all of a sudden, you're talking about, we've gone from having, Rice, Souček, Lanzini, Downs, sort of whatever, to like Alvarez, James Ward-Prowse, Souček. We've now got Paquetá, who's played in that role against Bournemouth, which was pretty good. You know, you've got Fornals, who's in those sort of positions, who was here last year as well, but you've got Kudos, who can replace that sort of thing. All of a sudden, we've strengthened significantly, it feels like. We've got to give him time to adapt, and maybe that's something that will be interesting. Because obviously we know David Moyes doesn't love to throw players in and see what happens and all that other sort of nonsense. But actually, in this instance, young guy moving to a different league, gonna take some time to adapt. It might actually be useful that the pressure isn't entirely on him instantaneously, that he doesn't have to come straight into the first team, the first 11, and perform non-stop. Because at some point this season, if we're being honest, we're probably going to be missing Paquetá for a significant chunk of time. He is probably going to get banned, and he is probably going to be gone for a while. At which case, we have a guy who can come in and do an incredible job at that, and by that point, he will hopefully have been settled into the league. Brighton are a team who were after him previously. Brighton don't just buy players and throw them in. At least they don't tend to. They tend to let them sort of get them involved and drip them in and figure out what they're doing with them after a while. Now, obviously, this might be a bit of a different case for them, but they don't necessarily tend to buy players and throw them straight in. If we can adopt something similar to that, where he's not being the 100% main guy straight away, And with Europe, we can afford to do that. We can afford to have two sides, essentially, as we've seen in previous years. I think this gives him a really good chance to adapt and settle as well. And then eventually, if the Paquetá if worse does come to the worst and he does get banned for a significant chunk of time, or any chunk of time, we have a guy who can step into that role and do incredibly at it and will hopefully already be settled. I'm really up on this one. I think this is such a good deal. I think the price is good. I think getting him in on a 5-year contract, I think we have such a significant upside in this one. And if it doesn't work out, it was more than worth the risk, and you could probably still sell him for a not insignificant chunk of money. Obviously, it's not going to be what we paid for him, but I doubt that's going to happen. I'm really high on this one. I just don't quite know where he fits. Where would you play Mohammed Kudos? Do let us know in the comment section below. How do you feel about this transfer? Like I say, not completed yet, not holding the shirt, but he will be getting at least a jet pick soon, we hope, and be on his way to West Ham for a medical tomorrow. So hopefully by tomorrow, we'll be able to say he has officially signed. Let me know in the comment section below, though, where are you going to be playing him? What are your thoughts on the deal overall? Now we know the actual details. Now we know it's happening. Talk to me. Talk to me. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that like button because it helps us out massively. Hit the bell notification button so you don't miss out on any future videos. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Mohammed Kudos is incoming. Give me that jet pick. It's very important. Jet pick. Hashtag jet life. Got to live it. Got to live it, ladies and gentlemen. Got to live it. Speak to you later. Come on, your minds. Enjoy yourself. Bye.